teacher, it's funny because so much of this stuff we actually talked about over the weekend. Um, a teacher says the child sacrifices of the Incan Empire were voluntary and kind. Okay, so killing children and ripping out their hearts and maybe even having a little nibble off that heart and then throwing them down inside the pyramid. That's
What?
kind, and claims that viewing these child sacrifices as evil means you had a white education. And this is a teacher. Okay, let's play this.
I will die on this hill. I'm specifically talking about the Inga here. We're not talking about the Mexica. That's a whole separate type of sacrifice. If we're just looking at Tawantinsuyu, the Quechua people, the Incan Empire, they practiced sacrifices like most other civilizations throughout history did in times of crisis. So famine, natural disasters. But the unique thing about the Quechua is that when you're looking at like the Incan civilization, you essentially have the elites and then you have everyone else. Sacrifices were volunteers from the elite class because they believed that the elites were closer to the gods and could therefore appease them better. Also, in terms of sacrifice, they were kind about it. Hear me out. Because unlike the Mexica, when you're like ripping out a still beating heart out of someone's chest, the Inca would intentionally use coca leaves and would use chicha and would drug up the sacrifice and then leave them on a mountain, a cold, chilly mountain, to be exposed to the elements. Which, if you're good, a volunteer sacrifice where you're heavily drugged before you die. Also, I mean, I can equate human sacrifice throughout history to so many things. And I think the fact that a lot of people are commenting, oh, but the sacrifice is again indicative of the fact that you have received a quite white education because you are knowing them for the bad things that they have done and not all of the wonders that they accomplished. So I hope
this is why liberal white ladies have the reputation they have, number one. But if you take anything, okay, listen, you could have taken anything she said there, Sheila Gunn Reid, and applied it to maid. Okay, so we have this level of elites in Canada, and it's the sacrifices were
voluntary.
It's voluntary, and it was done very nice, in terms of like getting you all drugged up and all, you know what I mean, and then just leaving you on a mountaintop to the elements. It sounds exactly like mate. Like this is happening in Canada at the behest of the government. This woman, even though she sounds right off her rocker crazy, and nothing she says is excusable, she's actually describing exactly what our government does to Canadians every single day. The end.
This is what happens when you forget that colonization is not necessarily bad. Like when you see the colonizer as the inherent evil, but what happened when they showed up? Christianity came along and said, you guys can't be sacrificing your children.
Hey, stop offing your children on the top of the
killing
mountains.
Your children. Like this is what, like, human history is replete with this stuff. They were sacrificing their children to Moloch, right? And then the Jews are like, you shouldn't be sacrificing your kids to Moloch. And like then in the New World, they're sacrificing their kids to whatever Incan god. And the evil colonizers like, baby, don't sacrifice your kids. That's bad. We think those kids were created in the image of God. And so you shouldn't be just sacrificing them. And what they're saying is wealthy people, the elites in Inca, were saying, take our kids. Right. Not them, take our kids, drug up our kids and do it. And isn't that exactly what your wealthy elites are doing right now in the Western world, sacrificing their kids on the altar of transgenderism?
Oh, I'm so happy you said it, Sheila, because the whole time you're talking, I'm like, oh, well, this is what the elites are doing. These are what the Hollywood types are doing. This is what the super, super rich are doing. They're saying we are so wealthy and we're in such great condition. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to sacrifice our oldest. You know what I mean? Just take them down to the gender clinic. We're just going to make sure that they can never have a functioning sexual reproductive tract or be able to have children for themselves. It's just what we're going to do. It is ritual sacrifice. That is what it is, Sheila Gunn Reid.
Over and over again. I say this all the time. Moloch always gets his babies. Whether it is throwing their children up on the altar of Moloch, to shoving them down an Incan temple with their hearts ripped out, to sacrificing them on the altar of political transgenderism, if you believe that this is an existential struggle between good and evil, uh, uh, as old as time itself, the struggle between good and evil, it is what it's constant. As long as there is evil, there have been mothers willing to sacrifice their children to it.
Hmm. So what side are you on, Canada? You on the
Exactly.
side of good, the part that's wholesome and innocent, protecting children's innocence, or are you on the other side where you would sacrifice them?